My credit score used to be 540. Today, it's over 800. I didn't pay a credit repair company thousands of dollars. I didn't declare bankruptcy. I didn't even have to wait a full 7 years for negative items to fall off. Instead, I discovered a simple loophole in the credit system that I didn't believe worked. This one insight helped me raise my score by over 200 points in just 12 months. I went from being denied for apartments to qualifying for premium credit cards with all the perks. Today, I'm gonna show you exactly how I did it step by step, so you can do the same, even if your score is in the 400s right now. The best part is that you can start seeing results in as little as 30 days with just 15 minutes of work. Let me take you back to where it all started. I was 22 years old and about to get out of the Marines. After a few years of steady paychecks and structure, I was facing the real world with all of this unknown. I figured it would be smart to apply for a couple of credit cards with 0% APR, just to have that safety net while I started school. Nothing fancy, just something to help cover expenses until I received my GI benefits. But unfortunately, every single application came back denied. I keep getting these letters saying, "We're sorry, we cannot approve your application at this time." I was confused. I always paid my bills on time, or at least I thought I did. So I finally pulled my credit report, something that I never bothered to do before, and my credit score was 540. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. There was a store card that I opened before deployment, and I completely forgot about it. There was also an old phone bill that went to collections because they sent it to my old base after I transferred. There was even a credit card on there that I had no clue about. Someone probably opened a credit card under my name, and back then, you really didn't get any type of notifications about credit stuff. Now, that actually hit me pretty hard. So here I was, getting ready to start my civilian life, and I couldn't even get approved for a basic credit card. How was I supposed to rent a place or buy a car with credit this bad? I had to figure out what I could do since I was months away from discharge. Now here's the thing that nobody tells you. The credit system isn't meant to be easy to understand. It's complicated on purpose. The more confused you are, the more money that they make when you mess up. But as I started digging into this stuff, I found something crazy. These credit bureaus, the companies that basically control your financial life, they mess up a lot. In a study done by Consumer Reports, almost half of all participants had errors on their credit. And under federal law, if they can't prove that the information is 100% correct, they must remove it. The law is called the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and it says that you can fight back against these mistakes. So I went all in. I looked up everything that I knew about fixing credit, actually read through the FCRA law. It's boring, but well worth it. I figured out how credit scores really worked, and I learned that most of the bad stuff on your credit only sticks around for 7 years most of the time. But the biggest thing that I discovered is that the burden of proof isn't on you, it's on them. The credit bureaus and the companies reporting them have to prove that what they are saying about you is 100% accurate. And if they can't, they legally have to take it off of your report. Man, when I realized this, everything changed. I wasn't stuck anymore, I had a game plan. So the first thing that I did was to get all 3 credit reports: Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. A lot of people don't know this, but these 3 companies don't talk to each other, and they each have their own file on you. So something might show up on one report, but might not on others. And your score is totally different depending on which one that the lender pulls. So I went to annualcreditreport.com. It's the only true site that's backed by federal law. Now you can actually get them once a week. Back then it was only once a year. So when I finally got my reports, I printed all 3 out and I went to town with a highlighter. Every error, every account that I didn't recognize, every late payment that seemed questionable, I highlighted it all. By the time I finished, those reports looked like I gone crazy with a yellow marker. But now I had a plan of attack. This is where most people go wrong. They either ignore the errors or try to negotiate with the debt collectors directly, usually making things worse by acknowledging debts that they shouldn't or make promises that they can't keep. I took a different approach. I focused on something called factual disputes. So here's how it works. Under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the credit bureaus must verify that information on your report is 100% accurate and complete. If they can't prove it, then they have to remove it. The key word here is verify. The bureaus have to check with the original creditor to confirm the information. And creditors often don't keep complete records, especially for older accounts or debts that have been sold multiple times. I started with a simple dispute letter to each bureau, challenged the items that I knew were wrong. I simply just said that this account is incorrect, this account isn't mine, or this account was never late. I was specific and asked for the credit bureaus to do an investigation. I didn't send off the letters with a highlighted credit report and proof of ID and address. According to the FCRA, the credit bureaus have 30 days to investigate your dispute. If they can't verify the information, or if the creditor doesn't respond within that time frame, they must remove the item from your report. And guess what? Many creditors never respond. They're dealing with thousands of disputes, they may have incomplete records, or sometimes it's just not worth their time for smaller accounts. So they let the 30 days expire and the item gets removed. Within 45 days of sending my first round of disputes, I had 6 negative items removed from my reports. And just like that, my score jumped almost 100 points. But I didn't stop there. Some of my disputes came back verified. So I sent a second round of letters asking for proof of verification. I requested the name of the person who they verified it, what documents they checked, and the date of verification. This is called a method of verification letter. It puts the bureaus on the spot to prove that they actually did a thorough investigation. Often, they haven't. After a few more rounds of disputes, my credit score jumped up to the 700s. Once I started disputing errors, I needed to focus on adding good stuff to my credit. Credit scores isn't just about clearing negative marks, they're also about showing that you can handle credit responsibly over time. My journey actually started with a basic credit card from my military credit union that I got when I first joined. Nothing fancy, no points, no cashback, no travel benefits. Just a plain credit card designed to help service members build credit. But here's where I made my first big mistake. When I was leaving the military, I closed that card thinking that it was a smart move. I wasn't using it much and I just wanted to find other cards with better benefits. I had no idea about how credit scoring worked back then, and it turns out closing your oldest account is one of the worst things that you can do to your score. That card had my longest credit history, and when I closed it, my average account age stopped growing. So after a lot of trial and error, I got serious about understanding how credit actually works. So as my score started improving, I started applying for entry-level credit cards such as the Chase Amazon card and the Capital One Quicksilver. I didn't just get these cards to spend more, I actually got them just to increase my overall available credit. See, having multiple credit cards with higher limits lowers your overall utilization ratio. So even though I was spending the same amount of money each month, I was actually using a smaller percentage of my available credit. The key was learning how to pay my bills the right way. Most people don't realize this, but when the balance gets reported to the credit bureaus, it's whatever the balance is on your statement closing date and not your due date. So I'd make payments a few days before the closing date to get the reported balance as low as possible, sometimes even to zero. This way, I could use my cards all month but still show a super low utilization when it gets reported to the credit bureaus. This one trick alone probably boosted my score another 30 to 40 points, and it didn't cost me an extra dime. It just required better timing of payments that I was making anyways. After about 6 months of the strategy, most of my cards started offering limit increases. My entry-level cards went from 1,000 to 5,000 or more. More available credit meant even lower utilization, which boosted my score again. Looking back, I made plenty of mistakes along the way. I was basically figuring this stuff out as I went. But that's why I'm sharing this with you now, so you don't have to learn the hard way like I did. So within 1 year of starting my journey, my score climbed from 540 all the way up to the mid 700s. I qualified for an apartment with no issues. Credit card companies were actually sending me pre-approval offers without even reaching out. But I didn't stop there. Breaking into the 800 levels took another few years of consistent habits. Perfect payment history, not a single late payment, not even a day, and I set up auto pay for everything just to ensure this. Next is low utilization across all cards, less than 6% reported each month. As my credit improved, I qualified for higher limits and more cards, making it easier to maintain. I also had a diverse mix of credit. By this point, I have several credit cards, car loans, and eventually a mortgage. This mix of revolving accounts and installment loans showed that I could handle different types of credit responsibly. Another thing that really helped was limiting new applications. Every time that you apply for a new card, it creates a hard inquiry on your report, which temporarily lowers your score. So I spaced out new applications by at least 3 to 6 months. And lastly is just letting my accounts age naturally. The age of your credit history makes up 15% of your score. There's really no shortcut here. It just takes time. My average account age gradually increased from less than 1 year to over 5 years. There's really no shortcut to a 100+ credit score. It's really about time and responsible habits. But once you're there, you get the best rates on everything. My mortgage rate alone saved me tens of thousands over the life of the loan compared to what I would have qualified for if I had my old score. Now looking back, my biggest regret was wasting years not understanding how credit actually works. Don't get me wrong, it was totally worth it, but man, it was a lot of work. I didn't have access to all the info available nowadays, plus there was no AI. I spent countless weekends buried in paperwork, researching credit laws, writing letters, and tracking responses. It was like having a second job just to fix my credit. Now you can absolutely take everything that I share with you in this video and start repairing your credit yourself. With enough time and dedication, you could see similar results. But the truth is, it's much easier said than done. You need to create perfectly formatted dispute letters for each bureau. You need to track every response and deadline. You need to understand exactly which follow-up letter to send out at which time. And if you're making mistakes on your wording or timing, you might miss out on a chance of getting that negative item removed. When I was going through this process, I spent at least a few hours every single week just managing my disputes, research, and paperwork. Most people simply doesn't have that kind of time. That's why I built Credit Rehab Pro to handle all the technical stuff for you. It automatically scans scans your credit reports to identify errors and inaccuracies. It creates custom dispute letters tailored to your specific situation and tracks responses and deadlines so nothing falls through the cracks. It pretty much guides you through the entire process step by step. With Credit Rehab Pro, what used to take me hours every week now takes just a few minutes a month. If you're ready to take control of your credit without the massive time investment, scan the QR code on the screen right now or click the link down in the description. Remember, your credit score is just a number. It doesn't define who you are, but fixing it can open doors that you never thought possible. Whether it is a new home, a better car, lower insurance rates, or just the peace of mind that comes with good credit. I'll see you in the next video.